My fiancé stirred up a romantic scandal in Yangzhou City. The woman involved was a courtesan named Li Pengpeng, the most famous Iran in Yangzhou City. She bought her own freedom, stood alone at the gate of the Xie family's old residence without a word for a whole month, and finally got to meet old Madame Xie. In the end, she was carried in a sedan chair into the residence on Xie Xijing Lane. When I arrived in the capital, I just happened to hear that she and Xie Xijing had properly held a banquet, appearing together in public. Quite the spectacle. Though a concubine, she enjoyed the treatment of a legitimate wife. The entire capital was watching my humiliation, and even those who felt indignant for me were drowned out by other voices. Some busybodies even set up a betting pool in the marketplace, wagering on whether I would swallow this insult. After all, our Song family of Wuxia was no longer what it once was, while the Xie family was a pillar of the imperial court. On the day the betting pool opened, I too, just like Li Pengpeng, went alone to the Xie family's main residence. Not for justice, but to break off the engagement. Xie Xijing was not worthy to be my husband. Xie Xijing and I were originally supposed to marry by the end of the year. I was already 21 years old. To delay any further would be truly unseemly. The reason it had dragged on so long was simply that he didn't like me. This marriage was forced upon him by his grandfather, and Xie Xijing was the most rebellious sort. When he was 15, he went crazy for some reason, refusing the hereditary title his family had, saying he wanted to earn his own achievements. He usually spent his days cockfighting and dog racing, so no one believed him. He went mad and took scissors to his own hair, cutting it into a dog-chewed mess. Now unable to show his face in public, he could only hole up at home studying. By the time his hair grew back, he had already passed the provincial examination. What took others 10 years of hard study, he crammed in 3 months, nearly taking first place. The next step would be passing the imperial examination, but he went silent. After resting a while, he left behind a letter and ran off to enlist at the border. Xie Xijing was the only son for 3 generations of the Xie family. How could they afford any mishap? His family wrote to General Kuai stationed at the border, requesting he look after him. General Kuai's reply came quickly. Forget about seeing the Xie family's eldest son. There wasn't even anyone surnamed Xie in his army. This threw the Xie household into chaos. In the end, his second uncle personally went to the border, had the new recruits line up in formation, and examined them one by one until he finally dragged Xie Xijing out. Turns out Xie Xijing had taken the alias Zhao Wuj, not relying on family connections, hiding his identity to become a common soldier, a fearless newborn calf. By the time his second uncle found him, he'd already become a centurion, commanding over 100 men. If his second uncle had arrived any later, he'd probably already be a commander of 1,000. After Xie Xijing returned to the capital, the Xie family invoked family law and beat him within an inch of his life. But someone as proud and unruly as him, how could he be afraid of getting beaten? Once his wounds healed, he said that scholars, farmers, artisans, and merchants ranked last. He wanted to see for himself what this lowest rank was all about, and went off to do business. This time it really pissed off his mother something fierce. If you want to do business, then go do it. Xie Xijing was kicked out of the house, with 2 sets of clothes and 5 taels of silver thrown out along with him. Xie Xijing wasn't bothered. He shouldered his bundle and headed all the way to Yangzhou. After more than half a year, he returned. The first thing he did upon entering the capital was buy the tallest wine house on Chang'an Street for 1,000 taels of silver, renamed it Wang Yu Tower, and gifted it to his mother for her birthday. Who in the world doesn't know that the matriarch of the Xie family, whose given name is Yujian, is just like a bright moon in the sky? At this point, the direction of discussion about Xie Xijing in the capital changed. There are plenty of reckless young masters in the capital, but where is one like Xie Xijing who excels at whatever he does, born into a prestigious family, handsome in appearance, and capable too? Perhaps even if he went begging, he could beg his way to a mountain of gold. Everything about Xie Xijing is good, except his marriage arrangement isn't. It was a marriage arranged by his grandfather when he was still alive, to Miss Song from the Song family of Wuxia. When the engagement was made, it was naturally a match of equal social standing, 2 families with generations of friendship, the very best kind of marriage alliance. Unfortunately, not many years after this engagement was set, all the Song family men died in battle. Of the Song family's grand household, only the orphan daughter Song Beiji remained. The Song family has fallen into decline. I heard that the young lady of the Song family didn't learn a bit of the ancestral martial arts passed down through generations, and developed the frail constitution of a pampered rich girl all these years. She hasn't even come to the capital once, staying in Luochuan, growing up in the countryside. Although Miss Song is from a prestigious family, she is just an orphaned girl. For her to match the current eldest young master of the Xie family is really reaching above her station. The Xie family hasn't said it outright, but whether intentionally or not, the matriarch of the Xie family is exceptionally close with the wife of Minister Zhang from the Ministry of Revenue. Minister Zhang controls the nation's finances and has only one legitimate daughter in his household, who excels in both music and painting, a top tier noble lady in the capital. Perhaps one day the engagement will be rearranged, who knows? I've been hearing these words since 80 li outside the capital. Of course, these are all the thoughts of parents and elders. As for Xie Xijing himself, he is in his prime as a young man, proud and romantic, riding horses by the slanted bridge, with red sleeves beckoning from every building. When entering the city gate, I happened to hear about that romantic affair between Xie Xijing and Li Pengpeng. The coachman, Tishan, couldn't hold back and kicked hard at a dead tree by the roadside. That dead tree originally required a person's arms to encircle it. He used the full force of a martial artist with this kick, and the dead tree broke with a crack. I looked at that clean break and thought, it is good that it is broken. Some things always need a clean break. It was right at noon, the hottest time of the day. Even the vendors selling herbal tea by the roadside had retreated under the eaves to escape the heat. A half-worn carriage stopped in front of the Xie family's gate. The peddler merely glanced at it before continuing to chat idly, while fanning himself with a palm leaf fan, until a young lady in a light green gauze shirt stepped down from the carriage. Like an orchid in a secluded valley, with an otherworldly temperament, the peddler was momentarily at a loss for words. I knocked on the Xie family's door knocker. "Who is it?" "Baija of the Song family." Song family? Which Song family? On such a sweltering day, the gatekeeper was already impatient, but seeing a pretty young lady outside, he forcibly suppressed his irritation. At this moment, a commotion arose behind me. A well-informed peddler recognized the pattern on the half-worn carriage. It was a blazing sun over the sea, with radiant sunlight fierce as flames. It was the former Song family crest. I smiled at the gatekeeper. My voice wasn't loud, but it stirred up 1,000 ripples like a stone thrown into water. "Please inform the head of the Xie family. The Song family of Luochuan has come specifically to break off the engagement." I had never been to the capital before, and even I found it laughable. My first visit to the capital, and it was to break off an engagement with the Xie family. Xie Xijing was enjoying himself in Yangzhou. The one I met was his mother, the current matriarch in charge of the Xie family. The world mocked me for growing up in the countryside and not knowing proper etiquette. I accepted the hot tea offered by the maid, elbows level and shoulders relaxed, the most dignified posture possible. Little did they know, I had been forced by mother since childhood to learn etiquette with a stick posture and bearing, corrected bit by bit with a wooden ruler. She said I was to become the first lady of the Xie family in the future. It wasn't that she particularly liked this status, but at that time our Song family had fallen into decline. If one day she has to make a living under her mother Zan law, she can't let others laugh at her, saying that the daughter of the Luochuan military family doesn't even know proper etiquette. She said, "Baiji, your father and brothers can no longer protect you. If it were in the past, even if you were willful and unruly, no one would dare say anything. Mother can't protect you either. Everything can only depend on yourself." Slowly skimming off a bit of foam from the tea, I nearly shed tears. Mother never knew that I learned etiquette not for myself, and even less for the Xie family, only to make her heart a little happier. The warmth in my eyes was swallowed down with a sip of tea. I raised my head, my face showing nothing. Aunt Xie brushed past a pearl flower by her temple, though she wore a smile. Her expression was somewhat unnatural. She raised her hand to have the maid bring more food. "Let Aunt take a good look. After not seeing you for years, our Baiji has grown into such a lovely young lady. It is a pity that rascal Xijing isn't here. Otherwise I'd have you two meet. All these years he has always been thinking of you, his sister from afar." Aunt Xie's words were wrong in 3 ways. First, our two families haven't seen each other for not just a few years, but over 10 years. Since my father and brothers passed away, the two families occasionally exchanged letters. But in the following years, the Xie family rose to great heights, while the Song family lived in a corner. The letters sent gradually received no reply, but I don't resent the Xie family either. They're not the only powerful family in the capital who cut ties with our Song family. When people leave, the tea grows cold, the world is indifferent. This is ordinary. It is just that having a marriage engagement makes it somewhat disheartening. Secondly, Xie Xijing, before even getting married, has been going around openly with a courtesan mistress. Such disregard for propriety and shame, trampling on our Song family's face. How can this be brushed off with just rascal? Thirdly, if Xie Xijing truly kept me in his heart, how could he have dragged me to 21 years old without marrying? I thanked the maid for the tea and snacks she offered, and bowed to Aunt Xie. Marriage is a major matter, naturally decided by parents. It is just that Beijing's parents have both passed away, so I must make this trip myself. I imagine Aunt just heard from the gatekeeper. Beijing has come this time to break off the engagement with your household. Aunt Xie's pinky finger hidden in her sleeve trembled slightly. The Song family voluntarily breaking off the engagement was, for her, a good thing. She had long set her sights on the legitimate daughter of Minister Zhang's family, a noble lady from an aristocratic house who would greatly benefit Xie Xijing. She'd just been unable to bring it up due to the engagement old Master Xie had arranged years ago, but breaking off the engagement with the Song family would invite gossip. The Song family had 3 generations of loyal subjects who all sacrificed themselves for the country, leaving only one orphaned daughter. If word got out, it wouldn't sound good. I saw all of Aunt Xie's calculations clearly. I wasn't afraid she wouldn't agree. Tangible benefits versus an intangible reputation. All these years, haven't they always been making this choice? Aunt Xie pondered briefly, a trace of guilt flashing through her eyes. I knew she had made her decision. I heard her say, "The marriage between you and Jinger was originally arranged by his grandfather. When the engagement was made, you were still in swaddling clothes. With the betrothal set early, it is both a responsibility and a burden. I'm afraid if your temperaments don't match, you'll become resentful spouses instead. Now that you have thoughts of breaking off the engagement, what are your plans for the future? Although my Jinger acts somewhat arrogantly, he is still reliable. Why don't you two become sworn siblings? That way you'll have someone to look after each other in the future." Wanting to break off the engagement, yet not wanting to bear the infamy of bullying an orphaned girl. Her words were 3 parts truth and 7 parts lies, claiming to consider my interests at every turn. But if she truly considered my interests, why would she wait until I broke off the engagement to start considering them? I sighed deeply in my heart. Thank you for your kind intentions, madam. It is just that the Song family is full of loyal martyrs. Every man has fought bloody battles on the battlefield and died serving the country. These years after my father and brothers passed away, Beijing has grown accustomed to being on her own. To suddenly have an additional male elder brother, especially one whose temperament doesn't match mine, would be rather uncomfortable. The implication being that Xie Xijing wasn't worthy. He might be exceptionally clever and have some minor achievements in certain areas, but my father and brothers died fighting for the country, protecting the court above and the common people below. They were all upstanding good men. How could Xie Xijing be worthy of being my elder brother? He was even less worthy of being my husband. Coming out from the Xie family, Lu Qingshan lived up to his name. His face ironed and blue like a mountain. The maidservant, a Zhao, had reddened eyes, and we traveled in silence the whole way. After entering the private room of the tavern, where no one else was around, she finally couldn't hold back her tears and said, "I thought the Xie family of the capital was some scholarly family, but I didn't expect them to be so blind. It is fine that this engagement is broken off, but our young lady, she is truly the finest of young ladies." She finally couldn't hold it in anymore and turned away from me to wipe her tears. I knew what she meant. This engagement could be broken off, but in this world, a woman who has had an engagement broken off would always be looked down upon when word got out. I handed her my handkerchief. "Don't cry. Better to have nothing than settle for less. It is not necessarily a bad thing. Eat up. We probably won't make it today, so let's enter the palace first thing tomorrow morning." This trip to the capital, breaking off the engagement, was a decision made halfway through. We originally came to visit Her Majesty the Empress. Speaking of which, the current Empress and my mother were both daughters of military families and were old friends. Later, one accompanied her husband to guard the frontier, while the other married into the Eastern Palace and became the crown princess, so their contact gradually dwindled. Now that Her Majesty the Empress has gotten on in years, she often thinks of old friends and old times. which is why she sent someone all the way to Luochuan to ask me to come to the capital. A Zhao sniffled and was about to say something when a loud crash of tables and chairs falling came from the adjacent room, startling me. Immediately after, there was a clatter of shattering porcelain, and a woman's panicked voice rang out. Xiao Hu, what is wrong with you? Don't scare big sister." It seemed someone was in trouble. I pushed my chair back and ran out, seeing a woman holding a young child in her arms, no more than 2 years old at most. The child's lips were bluedan purple, face flushed red, already unable to breathe. Without thinking about anything else, I snatched the child from the woman's arms, head down, back up, and slapped hard on the back. Seeing it didn't work, I picked up the child again, wrapped my hands under his ribs, and forcefully pushed upward. After the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, the child vomited out a hard object, then continuously spat out several mouthfuls of clear water, and burst into loud crying with a wail. Seeing he was all right, I put the boy down. The situation earlier was too urgent, and now suddenly relaxing. I felt my hands lose strength, fingertips trembling uncontrollably, already drenched in cold sweat, making such a commotion, the surrounding diners were all attracted over. A woman pushed through the crowd, stumbling as she rushed in, and hugged the boy tightly. "Little tiger, what happened?" Mother only left for a moment. Several onlooking aunties pointed at me, talking over each other. "Your child almost choked to death, thanks to this young lady who saved him." Exactly, this young lady may be young, but she is quite capable, truly beautiful and kind and hearted. Hurry up and thank her. "That girl over there, tell me, playing with someone else's child, how could you be so careless?" The woman holding the child was about to kneel before me. I reached out to support her, and behind me came another commotion as the crowd automatically parted to make way. A young master arrived, dressed in fine brocade, with an extraordinary bearing. He glanced indifferently over the mess on the ground, every movement showing a composure unfazed by change. He asked in a deep voice, "What happened?" The woman from earlier sobbed and threw herself into his arms. "Xie Xijing, I saw this child was cute and peeled some peanuts for him to eat. At first he was eating just fine, but who knew he would suddenly, I didn't mean to. Xie Xijing, he is Xie Xijing. Shouldn't he be in Yangzhou City? How could he appear here?" The woman beside him must be the legendary courtesan Li Pengpeng. My heart trembled slightly. Countless thoughts flashed through my mind, then all returned to calm. I've already broken off the engagement with him. We have no more ties. Xie Xijing to me is nothing more than a passerby. Xie Xijing was so clever that he understood what happened in just a few glances. A life was nearly lost. Chaos surrounded them. Several frightened ladies were still gasping softly, yet only one woman in green robes stood quietly among them, with lowered hands, calm and composed, her presence like a serene orchid. He looked at me, his eyes full of admiration. He stepped forward, as if wanting to speak with me. Who would have thought a sword would suddenly appear out of nowhere, forcibly driving him back? Liu Qingshan held the sword at his side, saying coldly, "Young master, there must be proper distance between men and women. Please stay away from my young lady." Xie Xijing froze, then raised an eyebrow. In this vast capital city, there was nowhere he couldn't go. He had never been stopped by anyone before. What kind of lady could she be, that one cannot even get close to her? I didn't want to talk much with him, turned my head to instruct the woman that the child's throat had been blocked. For 3 days eat soft food. Don't let it be too hot. The woman grabbed my hand, thanking me profusely, took off the jade bracelet from her wrist, wanting to put it on my hand. I declined repeatedly and thanked her. In the end I accepted a chestnut from the child's pocket. After this commotion, I was a bit tired. Leaving the restaurant, I also lost the mood to stroll around, was just about to get in the carriage and return to the inn to rest. Didn't expect to be called out to. Xie Xijing caught up from behind. In his jet and black eyes reflected, all was my figure. He has always been unruly and carefree, doesn't like marriage arrangements forced upon him by others. But meeting an outstanding and beautiful lady, forming a good match, would naturally add another fine tale. Liu Qingshan's blocking him just now further stirred up his competitive spirit. Xie just took over this shop today. If a life was lost, I'm afraid business won't be good in the future. Just now, thank you, miss, for saving me. I wonder which household's miss you are. Xia will certainly. He suddenly stopped. His eyes stared fixedly behind me. I knew. He recognized the Luochuan song family emblem. A voice came from behind. a woman's voice spoiled and willful, full of satisfaction. Young Master Xie, listen. Well, my Mrs. surname is Song, given name by Ji, from the Luochuan Song family, 3 generations of loyal subjects in the household, known to all under heaven. Xie Xijing's face was full of shock. He took a fancy to a treasure, and just as he was about to collect it, he was told that this treasure was originally his, only that he had never liked it in the past, causing the pearl to be covered in dust. At the mention of the marriage arrangement that had been forcibly imposed by his grandfather and dragged on for 19 years, Xie Xijing instinctively felt displeasure. This displeasure overshadowed his desire to form a connection with the young lady. But after all, he had been training outside for so many years. In just a few breaths, he composed himself and cupped his hands, saying, "So, it is Miss Song. This one was blind. Miss Song has traveled a long way. Have you found a place to stay? I, Xie, am quite familiar with this capital city. If there is anywhere this one can be of use." While saying this, his mind raced rapidly, with numerous thoughts flashing through all at once. She came to the capital. What did she come to the capital for? Is it to seek justice because he took a mistress? Was everything just now a setup? Song Baiji actually tracked him down to his newly opened shop. He knew that after playing around a bit too wildly in Yangzhou by marrying a courtesan, on this trip back he wanted to give his mother a pleasant surprise to appease her anger. So he hadn't even gone home first. Could someone have leaked his whereabouts? Just as he was secretly harboring these concerns, that female voice, sharp as a blade, like the brightest lightning across the sky, severed all his sordid thoughts at the root in one stroke. No need for young Master Xie to trouble himself. My young lady has already dissolved the marriage arrangement with the Xie family. Men and women should keep their distance. Young Master Xie, please conduct yourself with propriety. How utterly satisfying, ladies. The second-hand embarrassment I felt for this man. He literally tries to flirt with a gorgeous stranger in a restaurant while holding his mistress, only to realize the stranger is the fiancé he abandoned, Jan, and she just fired him, having her maid deliver the "we dumped you an hour ago. Please back up" speech is absolute icon behavior. She didn't even give him the satisfaction of a tearful confrontation. The trash took itself out. Xie Xijing stood frozen in place, his complexion instantly turning deathly pale. After a moment of silence, he said in astonishment, "The engagement was called off. When did this happen?" Azhao glanced at the sky and said mockingly with arms crossed, "Just about an hour ago. If young Master Xie rushes home now, he might still catch it while it is fresh and hot." The color drained completely from Xie Xijing's face. It happened to be when the lanterns were just lit, and the streets were crowded with people. Li Pengpeng lifted her skirt and chased out. Seeing Xie Xijing standing together with a young woman, his expression dejected, though she didn't know what had happened, having rolled around in the world of pleasure for many years. She was most sensitive to that indescribable, ambiguous atmosphere. Her heart immediately sounded alarm bells. Very protectively, she grabbed Xie Xijing's arm and called out softly, "Xilang, the wind is strong outside. Let's go back." Xie Xijing was supported by her, his expression stern. His fingertips moved stiffly, but in the end, he didn't push her away. I looked at him calmly and said in a low voice, "Things have come to this point. All past ties between the Song and Xie families are severed. Young Master just thanked me, but you thanked the wrong person. When it comes to matters of life and death, Beiji acted to save a life. It has nothing to do with you, young Master. As for this, madam, it seems you haven't given birth before. In the future, if you have children, snacks like peanuts should wait until the child is older." He chose Li Pengpeng, whether out of affection to rebel against his family, or because of his always unconventional nature. In any case, he didn't choose me. I respect his choice. Addressing his concubine as madam is already giving her full face. Li Pengpeng usually prides herself on being the only woman by Xie Xijing's side, but who doesn't know she came from the pleasure quarters? Others respect her to her face but mock her behind her back. Now, hearing me respectfully call her madam, her expression immediately softened. No one knows how difficult it has been for her to come this far with her Xilang. Li Pengpeng felt somewhat relieved and looked toward her Xilang with a smile on her face, but she found Xie Xijing's jaw clenched tight. He wasn't looking at her at all. His eyes were fixed intently on the direction the carriage had gone. But in this vast Chang'an street, once a carriage departs, it is immediately swallowed by the sea of people. She will never come back. I paid my respects to the Empress at Fengyi Palace. She told me to raise my head and let her see. different from the graceful nobility I'd imagined. Though the Empress was advanced in years, she appeared capable and efficient. The gaze that fell upon me was calm and steady. One could tell at a glance that she had once practiced martial arts. A thought suddenly drifted through my mind. If my mother were still alive, she would probably be just like this. The Empress studied me for a long while. Finally, she sighed. Your eyes are very much like Xie Xijing's. When the world speaks of my mother, most respectfully call her Lady Song. In truth, she acted decisively and swiftly, had a fiery temper and a resolute character. The Empress called my mother by her nickname, her tone full of nostalgia, without the slightest disrespect. Just this one sentence made me want to cry. Her Majesty raised her hand, beckoning me to sit beside her. I had learned proper etiquette since childhood. In the depths of the imperial palace, how could I dare overstep my bounds? Seeing this, the Empress did not insist, only smiled faintly and said, "There aren't so many rules here in my palace," she asked. "I've heard all about the matter between you and that young master of the Xie family. Did you use that imperial decree or not?" I shook my head and said no. The imperial decree the Empress spoke of was what my mother had obtained for me. At the time, the Xie family seemed like a good match, but after my father and brothers passed away, and the Song family declined, Mother had seen all the coldness of the world. She deliberately dragged her ailing body to the capital to obtain an imperial decree for me. If in the future I did not favor the Xie family, it would allow me to break off the engagement unconditionally, and if already married, grant both families an amicable separation. This matter was highly confidential, known to very few. I never expected the Xie family to be so heartless. When I broke off the engagement, I didn't even need to use the imperial decree. It was settled with just a few words. After hearing this, the Empress said nothing. Only after a long while did she speak. "Good child, you've suffered. Though I oversee the inner palace, the Xie family has deep roots in the court. Even if I wish to seek justice for you, I'm willing but powerless. Please don't blame me. I was but a lone orphan girl, while the Xie family was large and powerful. This was only natural, yet I was somewhat surprised by the Empress's candor. After a moment of silence, I said, "The Xie family's wealth and status have reached their peak. I fear it won't last long. Your Majesty need not trouble yourself on my account." "Oh, what do you mean by that?" "I've heard some things about young Master Xi's deeds on my way here. He is indeed a dragon among men, outstanding in every way, but unfortunately, as the next head of the Xie family, his will is not firm. He is someone who likes to show off, dabbling in one thing, succeeding in it, then abandoning it. How can such behavior last long? I didn't expect you to be so perceptive, since you can see through it. I'm relieved. As for the Xie family, we can leave them be, but having known your mother, I cannot just stand by and watch you suffer. How about I get rid of Li Peng Peng for you?" "Get rid of Li Peng Peng?" My eyes widened slightly, momentarily bewildered. I had never considered this path, but thinking it over carefully, it wasn't without merit. My fiancé kept a courtesan as his mistress. How could I not feel upset about it? If she were eliminated, it would both be revenge against Xie Xijing and vent the anger in my heart. But I closed my eyes, and after a long while, shook my head. "Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. But that young Zhou courtesan has fallen into the world of dust, and meeting a good patron, naturally she would cling on and climb up. People climb toward higher places. She is just looking out for herself." I laughed self-Jan mockingly. If our positions were reversed, I might not do as well as she does. The root of this matter still lies with Xie Xijing. Since the engagement is already broken, I think it is better to look forward. I truly don't wish to be entangled with them anymore. After those words were spoken, no one responded, and the room suddenly fell silent, with only the palace maids attending the Empress gently waving their round fans. The Empress said nothing, so I just kept my head lowered and let her look at me. I don't know what kind of person my betrothed is. Not knowing him, I have no love, but I had expectations. I once expected that my husband would come from the capital with dozens of loads of betrothal gifts, beating gongs and drums, playing music all the way from the capital to Wuxia, riding a tall horse to take me home. I waited for a long time until I was 20 Zan, and finally realized that my betrothed probably doesn't want to come marry me. My fate is not good. The one I'm matched with is not a good man. Fortunately, Mother found me a way out early on. I still have the possibility of regaining my freedom, thinking this way. My eyes felt dry and sore. when a warm hand gently landed on top of my head. Xie Xijing has given birth to a good daughter, with such a heart. It is truly that Xie family boy who doesn't deserve you. Good child, stay here with me for a couple of days and keep me company. The orphaned daughter of the Song family's first act upon arriving in the capital was to break off the engagement with the Xie family. This matter became idle gossip on the streets and in the alleys. Some said the engagement was well broken off. That young master of the Xie family, keeping a young Zhou courtesan so openly that everyone knew about it, was truly not a good man. If he is like this before marriage, what would he be like after? Some people say the marriage shouldn't have been called off, that Xie Xijing is the only heir for 3 generations, and the Xie family will eventually be in his hands. The Song family isn't what it used to be, so being able to climb up to such a good match is already a tremendous blessing. Better to turn a blind eye and marry over, become the mistress of the Xie household, and enjoy endless glory for a lifetime. These are all rumors from outside. Living here with Her Majesty, the Empress, I've found some peace and quiet. I've studied medicine since childhood, going to the Imperial Medical Bureau daily to borrow medical texts. It helps pass the time when no one's around. Her Majesty lets me call her aunt. She says back in the day she and my mother were both daughters of military families. They didn't know each other until they fought, but through their sparring, they came to admire each other. Unfortunately, each had their own hardships. My mother passed away early, while she entered the deep palace and never touched a spear again. When Her Majesty the Empress speaks of this, her expression can't hide the melancholy. She tells me it is fine to stay in the palace for a bit, to see something new. But if I stay long, I'll discover that this vast forbidden city is truly the most stifling place under heaven. I understand Her Majesty the Empress's intention in having me stay with her. I'm just an orphaned girl who has also had an engagement broken off. It'll be hard for me to marry again. By inviting me to stay with her, she is actually elevating my status. No one dares disrespect someone who comes from the Empress's palace. Her Majesty's great kindness, I have no way to repay it, so I can only serve her more carefully. Living at Her Majesty's place, I can't avoid meeting her 2 princes. The Crown Prince is modest and generous, already married. As for that 5th prince, a few years younger than me, he is an extremely handsome young man. He is lively and active by nature. When he heard I came from a martial arts family, he wanted to test my skills on his very first visit. How could I withstand his sneak attack? Just one move nearly dislocated my arm. Knowing he'd caused trouble, he didn't even enter the gates of Fengyi Palace and slipped away immediately. 2 days later at dusk, I was sitting by the window reading when someone suddenly knocked on the window frame. I pushed open the window and saw the 5th prince crouching below like a thief. When he saw it was me, he stood up with a guilty expression on his face and ingratiatingly handed over a package of pastries. "Elder sister, you didn't tell Mother Empress, right? I thought I'd definitely be punished by Mother Empress." "Ah, I wronged you. I didn't know you couldn't do martial arts. I'm really sorry." "Are you all right?" I smiled gently. "I'm not that delicate. Just apply some bruise medicine, and I'll be fine. Your elder sister studied medicine. I'm okay. I didn't control my strength that day and hit a bit too hard." "I'm relieved you're all right, elder sister. Try these pastries. I specially bought them from Wangyu Tower, the best in the capital. Give them a taste, consider it my apology to you." I reached for a small piece and popped it in my mouth. "Delicious. Thank you, 5th prince. Zhao, put these away for me. I want to savor them slowly." Zhao was standing behind me, and seeing this scene, her eyes went wide. Normally, being straightforward as she is, she'd definitely say something, but being in the palace at this moment, she bit her teeth and said dryly, "The 5th prince is truly thoughtful." But the 5th prince was completely oblivious. Seeing that I had accepted it, he said with a cheerful smile, "Not at all, not at all. I only gave it to elder sister after tasting it myself. As long as elder sister likes it, that is good. Next time I come to Mother Empress's place, I'll bring you more." Zhao. I couldn't help but laugh. I thought the matter was over, but unexpectedly, a few days later, the 5th prince knocked on my window again. Compared to last time, he appeared flushed and flustered, scratching his head and ears. It took him a long while before he stammered out his words. "Elder sister, you and that young master Xie. I'm usually busy learning riding and archery, so I don't pay attention to these things. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I really didn't know." I smiled and said, "It is nothing. It is all in the past. Besides, they really were very good pastries. Elder sister, I've wronged you once or twice. You're someone Mother Empress invited, and I owe you a debt. Rest assured, I'll definitely stand on your side. He patted his chest quite proudly and continued, I absolutely won't go to that Wangyu Tower again. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry but felt touched in my heart. But before I could say anything, I was struck dumb by his next word. Elder sister, that guy surnamed Xie is no good. Let me introduce you to my big brother Ling instead. The autumn wind rose, rolling down a few leaves that spiraled down, startling away 2 cold crows. I heard myself say stiffly, that is really not necessary. The 5th prince became anxious. Elder sister Bai Ji, my big brother Ling is really great. You'll know once you meet him. Thank you, your highness. But really, it is not necessary. The 5th prince stood there silently for a moment, then suddenly his face turned red. Do you still like Xie Xijing? Did you come to my mother's place just to spite him? I heard that young Master Xie threw a huge tantrum when he returned home a few days ago. Hey you two? I was a bit surprised. The engagement was called off, which should have been what he wanted. I don't know why he threw a tantrum. I suppose it has nothing to do with me. Whether he throws a tantrum or not has nothing to do with me. Little Highness, we've already called off the engagement. The 5th prince looked half-Jan believing. Boys his age are naive about romance. You could say they understand, but they don't. You could say they don't, but they understand quite a bit. I suddenly realized I was being ridiculous. Why was I discussing my love life with a young boy? For some reason, my face also turned a bit red. For the first time, I overstepped, disregarding propriety as I reached out and closed the window. I'm tired, Little Highness. Please go back. Outside the window, the 5th prince was still being persistent. Sister, my big brother Ling is really great. Think about it. I pressed my back against the window, thinking resentfully. Big brother Ling. Big brother Ling. Who the hell is your big brother Ling in August? The golden osmanthus was fragrant. The Empress held the Changwa banquet by the autumn water pool. She invited young men and women of marriageable age from noble families in the capital. Men and women sat separately, each enjoying the flowers. Such banquets were actually meant to matchmake the noble ladies and young masters. If one could catch the Empress's eye and marry into the imperial family in one stroke, that would truly be a great fortune. For a moment, some composed poetry, some played the zither. It was quite lively. I had no intention of competing for attention, so I just picked a quiet corner to sit. Someone suggested we play a game of passing flowers while the drum beats. After 1 incense stick's time, that golden osmanthus branch fell into my hands. Countless gazes fell upon me. Now that I'm an honored guest of the Empress, the noble ladies of the capital are all very courteous to me. But they're also intensely curious, a lone orphan girl. What ability does she have to break off the engagement with the Xie family? I've long heard that Sister Bai Ji comes from a valiant background. We've all lived in the capital for so long and only know embroidery. Why doesn't Sister perform a sword dance to open our eyes? Looking up, I saw a noble lady in a purple dress, her eyes containing faint hostility. I didn't recognize her. Someone quietly reminded me that this was the legitimate daughter of Minister Zhang's family. I understood immediately. Madame Xie favored her, whether she liked Xie Xijing or not, whether this marriage could happen or not. Now that the Xie family had broken off the engagement with me, the gossip and slander fell not only on me, but also on the Xie family, and by extension, on her as well. The Xie family had their engagement broken off by me at their doorstep in public. If they were to discuss marriage with her again, it would implicitly make it seem like she was a grade below me. I shook my head. Baija has been in poor health since childhood and doesn't know sword dancing. If you don't carry on your family's martial skills, then Sister Baiji seems no different from us sheltered weak ladies who never leave home. I knew no martial arts, and my calligraphy, painting, and poetry were also unremarkable. She was unparalleled in both zither and painting, renowned throughout the capital. Miss Zhang's eyes showed no lack of pride. Even if the engagement were to be broken, it should be her breaking it off with the Xie family. There was no reason for the Xie family to be rejected by someone and then come to marry her. I remained silent, taking out a bamboo flute from my sleeve. My elder brother taught me this. It was his favorite tune. The tune is called Breaking Through the Battle Formation. Just as I started the melody, a noble lady cried out in surprise. The tune was fierce and intense with killing intent, like 10,000 horses galloping, mighty soldiers clashing in battle, carving stones at Yanran, Weijin Jiutan. It stirred one's blood with passion. After playing for a while, I caught sight of a fallen flower in the pond. The melody took a turn and suddenly became desolate. What I just played was my father and brother's lofty ambitions in life. What I'm playing now is what I've seen and felt in this life. I'm playing about how my father and brother died wrapped in horse leather, the tune ending, but the people never returning. I'm playing about how one general's success is built on 10,000 bones, as falling leaves drift down rustling. I'm playing about how history records only a few brief lines, while corpses pile up like mountains. The Song family of Wuxia shed blood at the border, long forgotten by all. I'm playing about a lone girl, orphaned since childhood, drifting through half a lifetime. At this moment, commotion arose among the seated guests. From across the pond, a flute sound suddenly emerged out of nowhere. The flute sound was sharp and soaring, with even greater killing intent, a fight to the death, battle spirit surging high. It was the second half of breaking through the battle formation. Hearing the suddenly rising flute sound, my heart trembled. All disappointment and melancholy vanished. I gathered my composure, and following that flute sound, changed key to catch up. Seeing me catch up, the sharpness in the flute's melody suddenly softened. The tune became light and cheerful, carrying a different kind of bold and carefree spirit. As the saying goes, a bit of noble spirit, 1,000 miles of refreshing wind. When the tune ended, I looked around and said coldly, "In the 7th year of Tianyu, at the Battle of Luochuan, our army defeated the Jing forces. Countless soldiers died or were wounded. My father was gravely injured, and on the verge of death, he saw on the rocky wasteland a flower called white angelica, standing proud, despite being stained with blood, and thus gave me this name. My mother, upon hearing of her husband's grave injury, went into early labor from the shock, so I was born with a weak constitution. Since I entered the capital, rumors haven't stopped. Some say the Song family of Luochuan has long since fallen. Nothing special. The Song family's honor was earned through 3 generations of my ancestors' blood shed on the battlefield. This honor didn't come easy, and Bai Ji, a lone girl, naturally can't hold it up. However, though Bai Ji didn't inherit the family's martial arts, I learned medicine from childhood. My father and brothers killed enemies to protect the country. Bai Ji heals the sick and saves lives, equally serving the country and the people. My mother established a martial hall in Luochuan. The Song family's military tactics and swordsmanship, nothing held back. There are successors. As long as Bai Ji is here, the Song family is here. The blazing sun banner is here. Though the Song family has no male heirs, the Song family's teachings are passed down generation after generation, never ceasing. If anyone says the Song family is finished, Song Bai Ji is right here. Please enlighten me. Talk about main character energy. These snobby capital mean girls tried to embarrass her for not being a delicate flower, and Bai Ji responded by basically saying, "I am the franchise, honey." She didn't need a man to carry on her family's legacy. She is the legacy. Watching her completely silence a room full of haters, using nothing but a bamboo flute and pure, unfiltered confidence gave me major goosebumps. The entire hall fell silent. No one dared to speak. Only the wild geese cried high in the vast sky. A white rainbow pierced the sun. The autumn wind was brisk and refreshing. After a long while, the Empress stood up, her voice clear and resonant. The Song family has a daughter named Bai Ji, born of a military family. Gentle on the outside, but strong within, with lofty ambitions. She understands the teachings of the inner chambers, is well versed in historical texts, truly a model among women. Now adopted as this palace's daughter, bestowed the title, Changping. Wind in the capital city died down and rose again, never ceasing. The Song family has a daughter unknown to all, but in one morning her name spread throughout the world. Young masters wishing to marry me were countless. Letters stacked upon stacks sent to the Empress, all seeking just one meeting with me. No one sends charcoal in the snow. Flowers are always added to brocade. I refused them all. Among them were some written by Xie Xijing. The gist was nothing more than that marriage annulment was agreed upon with his mother. He didn't acknowledge it. I had someone send him that already yellowed and aged marriage annulment decree. After that, Xie Xijing sent no more letters. From then on, no more contact. When the first plum blossom of winter bloomed, I bid farewell to the Empress. I had seen the capital's prosperity for too long. I should return to Luochuan. That is my true home. On the day of departure, the Empress personally dressed my hair. She gave me a long spear, one she had worn in the past. She said this spear remained in the deep palace. She had no use for it anymore. Better it follow me to Luochuan, and if it meets a destined person to mount a war horse once more, that would be without regret. I never imagined Xie Xijing would be waiting for me at the palace gate. As soon as I left the palace gate, he called out to me. He had grown much thinner. Though his hair was neatly tied, there was still an air of dejection rushing toward me. Liu Qingshan didn't think twice before going up to ask him to leave. Now meeting again, I'm above and he is below. Still 3 steps away, unable to even get close. Xie Xijing looked past Liu Qingshan toward me, smiling with difficulty. Why has it come to this between you and me? What could I possibly do to you? I just want to say a few words to you. I suddenly recalled our first meeting, when he had a beauty in his arms, how high-spirited he was. Remembering the Changwa banquet, there was still amazement in Xie Xijing's eyes. I never imagined you could play the xiao so well, I said indifferently. My xiao has always been good, you just didn't know. That po jin chi, I often heard it in the army too. That year I left home to join the military. I didn't want to pass through Luochuan, so I deliberately went north to General Kui's place. Tell me, if I had gone south that year and met you earlier, would there have been a different ending? The marriage arrangement between the Xie family and Minister Zhang's family ultimately fell through. As for that Li Pengpeng, all the commotion from recent events was too big. The Xie family's face was trampled on the ground. Old Master Xie took his anger out on her, personally giving the order for her to return to the residence on Xijing Lane in Yangzhou, never to enter the capital again, or step foot in the Xie family's main residence for the rest of her life. Xie Xijing went round and round in circles, only to grasp a handful of sand in the wind. With a casual toss, there was nothing left. The long wind lifted the hem of his robe, proud as Xie Xijing was. At this moment he finally had to admit, one wrong move, and he lost everything. Disappointment and regret pierced his chest like a steel blade. As if coming to some realization, he asked in bewilderment, "Is this retribution?" I looked up at him, somewhat surprised. After a moment, I told him it wasn't. You merely missed your chance with me. This is not your retribution. Just as I told the Empress, your retribution is your character. You dislike the path arranged by your family, always wanting to forge your own way and win thunderous applause. But success depends on perseverance. Even with your worldly talents, you can't withstand abandoning everything halfway. You're naturally intelligent and have your family's support, so getting what you want has always been too easy. Because it is too easy, you don't treasure it. You can't hold on to anything beautiful. This is your character, and this is your retribution. I slowly bowed to Xie Xijing. From here the road stretches far to the ends of the earth, may we each take care. Farewell forever. 20 li from the capital. I gradually heard the sound of a flute. The flute's sound was bold and unrestrained, like surging tides on a blue sea. Such fine flute playing I had only heard at the Changwa banquet. I listened intently for a long while, then finally took out my xiao. The xiao's sound was gentle, following the tide to bring forth a bright moon, a melody of gratitude. That day at the Changwa banquet, my thoughts had wandered astray for a moment, giving rise to feelings of loss. But fortunately he had consoled me with his flute. After another 100 meters, I reached Songshan Pavilion. Before the pavilion stood a person in dark fitted attire, a pair of long legs neatly tucked into black boots, brows like swords, eyes like lacquer. With just one person and one flute, leaning against the railing, yet emanating an aura of looking down upon the world, I asked Liu Qingshan to stop the car and walked along the mountain road to him. Hands clasped at my waist, I performed an extremely solemn bow. That person stopped playing, the bamboo flute spinning once in his hand, phoenix eyes slightly raised, lips faintly curved. He looked at me with an expression somewhere between a smile and not. I heard Miss Song was leaving the capital today, so I came especially to see you off. I was slightly surprised, took a shallow step back, lifted my skirt, and bowed again in thanks. Thank you for seeing me off, young master, but may I ask how to address you? That person's expression was unrestrained, ripples of light floating in his eyes hiding a hint of amusement. Behind him the sun blazed brilliantly, completely dispelling the winter cold. Miss Song, well, my surname is Ling, given name a single character Yuan. This journey ahead is long through mountains and waters. Yet mountains and seas can be leveled, and roads have their end. Miss Song, take care. You and I, we will surely meet again. This is why we don't settle, girls. When you refuse to shrink yourself for a man-Zan child, the universe sends you a grown Zan-ass man. Ling Yuan swooping in with that flute duet and the smoldering eye contact. Swoon. He doesn't need to rebel against his family to be interesting. He is an actual badass general who respects her strength. Upgrades only from here on out. Extra chapter. Xie Xijing had known since childhood that he would one day inherit his father's title and marry Miss Song of the Luochuan Song family as his wife. He was born bearing such a mission, not permitted to make even half a misstep. The first time he tasted the thrill of rebellion was that year. In the estate there was an extremely tall pomegranate tree, and since childhood he'd been constantly warned that the tree was too high and must not be climbed. Then one night when he couldn't sleep, he secretly slipped out of his room. Not only did he climb the tree, he even climbed to the very top and picked the biggest, reddest fruit from the highest branch. That day he slept in the tree, resting his head on one hand watching the stars in the sky, while casually peeling and eating a pomegranate with the other. So, trees could be climbed. They were just a bit high. As long as he was careful, he wouldn't fall. Early the next morning, when Mother got up to do her hair, there was a pomegranate on her vanity table, red as fire. His mother got such a fright that she called him over and gave him a good beating, making a huge fuss. Xie Xijing took the beating, teeth clenched tight, not begging for mercy even once. In the end, Mother got tired from hitting him, waved her hand, and sent him back to his room to reflect on his mistakes behind closed doors. He dragged his injured body through the flower hall, and heard the servants whispering in amazement. That tree's so high even grown men would struggle to climb it. Who knows how the young master managed to get up there? Xie Xijing's face showed no expression, his bitten gums filled with a raw, metallic taste of blood. He licked his lips, thinking to himself, the pomegranate was so sweet. Once there is a first time, there is a second. Later he went out riding horses and hunting geese, and when he came back he was scolded by his family again. You're so wild and unruly, you'll never amount to anything. Lucky you were born into a good family. Even if you fail at both scholarly and martial pursuits, the family has endless mountains of gold plus a hereditary title. Once you're married someday and settle down, at least that'll give your parents some peace of mind. The cane fell on him stroke by stroke. He rubbed his brow, thinking wearily. They pile everything on me and still expect me to be grateful. If that is how it is, I don't want this title, and whoever arranged this marriage can go through with it themselves. No good at literature, no good at martial arts. He gritted his teeth, his heart recalling the sweet clarity of pomegranates. So he pursued the imperial examinations and earned military merit. In the years that followed, he was obsessed with proving himself to his parents through defiance. His parents belittled and mocked him, so he deliberately took dangerous paths and made a spectacular name for himself. All the way from the capital to Yangzhou, with youthful chivalry, he befriended heroes from all 5 capitals. As for that Yangzhou courtesan, she truly had exceptional looks. In his youthful romantic days he drank with her a few times. The courtesan rarely met with people casually, but she treated him, Xie Xijing, with special favor. His drinking buddies were green with envy, and Xie Xijing, dizzy from all the flattery, got carried away and once spent lavishly for the courtesan. One time when he saw her being harassed by a difficult patron, he even stepped in to back her up, but that was as far as it went. Xie Xijing truly hadn't expected that Li Pengpeng would buy her own freedom, then go to the old estate to seek an audience with his grandmother and gain her approval. Xie Xijing himself was someone who acted rebelliously, so at this point, he finally looked at Li Pengpeng with a bit more respect. Li Pengpeng became his mistress. Of course, she could never be his wife. He simply wanted to spite his rigid and stubborn parents. On the day they exceptionally held a banquet and invited guests, he unexpectedly thought of his fiancé far away in Luochuan. From the Wu family, he heard she was frail, had never learned swordsmanship, and had no notable talents. Could it be that she was like those countless cousins of his, all delicate and fragile, promised to their husband's family, just waiting to be a clinging vine? How utterly repulsive. He truly met Song Baiji in the capital. At that time, he secretly returned to the capital with Li Pengpeng and ran into her as soon as he arrived. She was a girl of remarkable bearing, fearless in the face of danger, and she even saved a life. He had just formed the thought of getting acquainted when, unexpectedly, he was kept 3 steps away, unable to even get close. The orphan daughter of the Song family actually came to his door alone on the street and broke off their engagement 1 step ahead of him. Xie Xijing had always been proud and arrogant. This was the first time he'd been cast aside like trash. Then came the Changwa banquet. The matter of the broken engagement caused quite a stir. The Xie family was so powerful that they actually forced a lone orphan girl to personally come and break off the engagement. When he took his seat, countless gazes fell upon him, seemingly or not, many filled with disdain. Xie Xijing let out a cold laugh. If the engagement was broken, so be it. How could he, Xie Xijing, be defeated by a woman, until across the pool, the sound of a shao suddenly rose. The capital was filled with decadent music, but this shao sound was sharp and piercing, full of heroic spirit, like thousands of troops sweeping away all obstacles, surging forth like ocean tides. The entire audience erupted in astonished exclamation. Why should a man not carry the Wu Hook sword and conquer 50 provinces beyond the passes? What man in this world has never dreamed of donning armor and leading troops, taking the enemy general's head among tens of thousands? Just who is this Miss Song, to be able to play such a melody that makes one's heart surrender upon hearing it? Everyone looked toward Xie Xijing with tacit understanding. Xie Xijing was immersed in the shao sound. He had truly been on the battlefield and killed people, and even to this day could still recall the shouts and slaughter in those flames. Compared to others, this melody could more easily stir up the boiling killing intent hidden in Xie Xijing's blood. This is his original wife. The shao sound turned desolate, and Xie Xijing felt an inexplicable heartache. Just as he was about to do something, he suddenly felt a cold gaze fall upon him. Immediately, the sound of a flute rang out. Looking up, Ling Yuan had already withdrawn that cold, contemptuous gaze, and was now holding the flute horizontally before him, in a protective stance. Who is Ling Yuan? The Xie family is illustrious, but Ling Yuan even more so. Son of the eldest princess, a genuine member of the imperial family. He trained in the northwest for 12 years, rarely returning to the capital. General Kui spoke of Ling Yuan with utmost admiration every time, saying General Ling achieved success at a young age, decisive in battle. To have such a general is the nation's great fortune. Xie Xijing had also seen that person smash their bowl before battle, showing no regard for the mountain passes. He had to admit it and had to acknowledge it. General Kui's words were all true, not a single falsehood. This time, for some reason, Ling Yuan was actually willing to come to this Changwa banquet. Beside him was a small figure, looking closely. It was none other than the current 5th prince. At this moment, he wore a proud expression on his face. It was just unclear whether he was proud of his big brother Ling, or proud that his sister Baiji had made such a stunning debut. Song Baiji was granted the title of Princess Changping. Xie Xijing probably never imagined that one day he himself would become the laughingstock of the capital. He was young and had not yet inherited his title, had no scholarly achievements to his name, no distinguished military merits, and behaved recklessly. How could he be worthy of Princess Changping? Each and every matter caused a huge uproar. The Xie family's reputation was ruined, and father had a huge fight with mother. Father accused mother of being short-sighted like a woman, only seeking immediate wealth and glory, rashly breaking off the engagement with the Song family, not knowing how important reputation was for a centuries-old family. Mother was so angry she laughed instead. Lord Xie is truly worthy of being the Xie family head, full of righteousness and morality, the very picture of noble integrity. If that is the case, after the Song family fell into ruin, when did you ever visit your sister Zan Law from the Song family even once? Father was struck speechless, flicked his sleeves and left, not returning home for several days in a row. Only Xie Xijing was left in a daze, having lost his soul. Though Li Pengpeng was good, when the two spent time together, they mostly talked about romance, going deeper, even if he wanted to. Matters of family, country, and the world. He wouldn't even know where to begin discussing them with a courtesan. He didn't care about the various criticisms and mockery from the outside world, but the regret in his heart grew like vines, making him wish he were dead. After returning that day, he had someone investigate Song Baiji's affairs. The eldest young master of the Xie family, high and mighty, for the first time calmed his mind and focused on listening to his fiancé's life story. Song Baiji's father and brother both died in battle. Her mother raised her alone while struggling to uphold the Song family's reputation. Her childhood was very difficult. The capital was filled with song and dance, oblivious to the neighing of war horses in Luochuan. It was said that when her brother died in battle, he was struck by 7 arrows and half his arm was severed. Song Baiji and her mother prepared his body and placed it in the coffin. That was the last male heir of the Song family. She was only a few years old at the time, yet had already witnessed such a brutal scene. Even when Xie Xijing first went to the battlefield, he was so frightened by the scene of flying flesh and blood that he couldn't sleep. Did Song Baiji cry? Perhaps she had seen too much and could no longer shed tears. All these years, Xie Xijing was busy contending with his family and paid no attention to his fiancé. After her mother's death, Song Baiji lived a hard life alone. She became a disciple of a renowned local physician and healed the sick. She was such a fine girl, like a winter plum on a branch that would rather break than bend, standing tall and proud. Not at all like a daughter flower waiting to depend on her husband's family. But studying medicine isn't that easy to learn. Which noble lady from a prestigious family would do such a thing? Working alongside pus, blood, and severed limbs, with the risk of contracting diseases, just thinking about it is terrifying enough. During the hardest times, did she ever think of him, her fiancé far away in the capital? Having a prominent fiancé was at least a fallback, something to hold on to. Did Song Baiji ever have expectations? Xie Xijing had no way of knowing. He would never know for the rest of his life. In the capital, young masters wanting to marry Song Baiji were as numerous as fish crossing a river, and he could have been the one. He lost the best girl in the world, yet didn't even know when exactly he had lost her. Just as Song Baiji said, the two of them had weathered countless storms, never to meet again. He was no longer worthy of being her husband. Can we just take a collective deep breath and appreciate how satisfying this story is? What I absolutely love about Baiji is that she never falls into the trap of competing with the mistress. When Xie Xijing brings home a courtesan to shock his rich parents, Baiji recognizes it for what it is. A giant waving red flag from an overgrown toddler screaming for attention. Instead of trying to fix him or win him back, she treats her marriage contract like a bad business deal and simply revokes his access to her life. And let's talk about Xie Xijing's downfall. Baiji hits the nail on the head when she tells him, "Your retribution is your character." Boom. He thought he was so deep and rebellious. But really, he was just a spoiled rich kid who never had to face the consequences of his actions, until he lost the best thing that was ever handed to him. That extra chapter from his POV, watching her shine from afar while he is stuck in the mess of his own making, pure cinematic perfection. Now, I want to hear from my gorgeous viewers in the comments down below. Dodging bullets. Have you ever dated a guy who thought he was a cool rebel, only for you to realize he was just emotionally exhausting? The new guy, are we officially boarding the Lingyuan train? Because I am ready to captain this ship, karma check. On a scale of Yi to Shi, how satisfying was Xie Xijing's regret at the end? Pour yourselves some more wine. Let's get the tea flowing in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more ancient drama. Remember your worth, ladies, and I'll see you in the next video.